Theme parks, I love them. From your dangerous dodgy carnivals to your massive money grabbing resorts. And it's a love I've had from a young age. Going back to my gaming past, one of the very first games my 6-year-old self fully owned was Theme Park for the Sega Megadrive. And it still has the remnants of its old blockbuster game for rental only, void if removed don't you dare sticker on it. It's only later in life when you get annoyed about these things and wish those bastards could have given you a mint copy. But with that being said, won't you join me, Letemcomeinit, as we pop this little beauty in for a theme park review. The premise is such: you are a business theme park tycoon. Nope, not that one. Setting up shop in your native country, the UK, first of all. And from there you're going to hack your way to the top, colonising every country in the world by building a massive dirty theme park in each one. The game itself was created by Bullfrog, one of my all-time favourite developers, responsible for such other classics as Dungeon Keeper and Theme Hospital. And it's actually a port of the 1994 DOS version of the game. This Megadrive port was released in 1995 with a very different artistic aesthetic, but I actually think it's the superior version, but I'll get to that later. So here we are in our very first theme park in the UK. The weather is glorious, the music's spiffing, and we've this happy little chappie to help us along. And although he's necessary for survival and less annoying than his later talking counterpart installments,
you don't have any toilets. And the visitors are going to have to boldly go where no one has gone before, if you get my meaning.
He's still quite the knob. You start off with a few meagre rides and attractions, and must invest in research to bring in the big guns like your roller coasters and tubing rides. Not that anyone in the UK would bother going on one of those in their swimming costume, because the weather in the summer is bloody toot. As you progress, you'll unlock more rides and you'll be able to charge more for your entrance fee and eventually auction off your park for more cash. And for me, this is the most reliable tactic in the game. However, this game allows you to employ some covert bastardly tactics, like adding tons of salt to your chips and then charging extra for coke, or bringing down the success rate of the duck shoot to bugger all so nobody wins. Apparently, these added extras and tactics were placed into the game to simulate how theme parks operated, as Peter Molyneux had taken some trips to big established parks in the US for research on running a business sim theme park game. As for the rides themselves, you can do some pretty cool / sadistic things with them, like break the track on the speedway to cause massive crashes. Right, here we go, innocently driving on the speedway, gonna make you crash into the wall, and boom! Or crank up the speed of the bouncy castle so everyone goes flying off and dies. Though, I've no idea how you'd really crank up the speed on a bouncy castle. Maybe they employ a bloke with a big stick to shout and threaten the riders to jump faster or something. I don't know. And speaking of the rides, in true Bullfrog fashion, you'll want to read all the humorous little sarcastic and bizarre tidbits of ride information. Like the vomit-resistant rubber on the bouncy castle. Something about one of the devs' grannies going for a spin on the plane flyer. Or this ridiculous dinosaur analogy about the monorail, stating if it was a dinosaur, it would be a T-Rex, cheap and cheerful. Now, you may have noticed the music in the background by this point, and although there's only been a limited number of cases reported of people losing the plot and going on murderous rampages due to overexposure to this tune, it's best not to tempt fate. Change this up by building lots of rides and pronto. Each ride has its own little music loop to play you, and here are some of my personal favourites. Some of the more boring aspects of park management have also been given the Bullfrog treatment. Much like your visitors, you have to keep your staff and suppliers happy, Every now and again you'll have to go into the management building and try and fist out a better deal for better pay or cheaper goods. But hold your horses, sunshine, because if you go steamy in there to close the deal quick, you'll agree to a massive price hike. You've got to tempt them in gently with a bit of hand flirting. But beware, as if you're no good at hand footsie and those biscuits run out, you'll have a strike on your hands. Don't worry though, the guests won't care if you're a terrible tyrant who works his slaves to death, they'll still come into the park. And if your park is a complete messy wreck because you can't be asked to pay your workers to clean up, you'll attract one of my favourite characters in the game, the bully boy biker bloke. Signalling his arrival by aggressively revving his scooter down your road. Presumably he's come to gorge himself on the rubbish. They've also dressed him up a bit like a classic skinhead / tartan punk here for some reason. This crude dude will go around assaulting everyone in the park until you hire some security to eject him. And this is a feature I'd love to see implemented in some other theme park games. Now RCT, I know you've got your vandals, but come on, let's have a bunch of nutty Hells Angels come and tear up the park, eh? And this brings me nicely onto my final point, why I actually think this is the superior port. Yes, the PC version has better graphics, deeper park management, and just plays a little bit easier on the mouse rather than D-pad, but the real issue here comes with the variety. On the DOS version, there just isn't very much. Besides a couple of unique stalls per level, there isn't anything that changes, and that really affects the longevity of the main campaign for me. Let me demonstrate. You've auctioned off your park, about to buy another plot of land, so let's have a look at what Australia looks like, shall we? Maybe a little bit different, perhaps? No. Oh, okay, what about Greenland? Might be a little bit different to the UK, bit chilly over there, perhaps? Maybe a bit of frozen land? No. Okay, what about India? Completely different climate, maybe we'll have some new rides or something. No, not on your Nelly, son. Whereas on the Megadrive, check this out. New colours, new landscapes, new people, new entertainers. Don't know what the entertainer's actually doing there though. And this is the whole point. They change up with the levels. You've got a whole different set of rides to contend with. Some places you'll get certain rides like the snake ride and not the bouncy castle for instance. And other places have a bit more restrictions on rides due to climate. Even Nobby's getting in the act. Check out his hat. And although admittedly these changes may be fairly small and aesthetical in their value, that's exactly the kind of small change that keeps you coming back to a game for more. So in conclusion, for me, this is one of the better versions of the game in the theme park franchise, possibly even my favourite, and definitely one I'd recommend. And yes, it's not as advanced or as deep as other games out there in the genre. You may not be able to build that super sick death coaster you've been dreaming of, and the graphics may seem a little simplistic today. But therein lies the beauty of this game. It's simplistic, and its main aim is to enable the player to build a theme park and have fun doing so. And on that it delivers. Join me next time when I'll be having a look at the next game in the series, Theme Park World, or check out some of my other videos here. And if you've really enjoyed this episode, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And until next time, a thank you and good night.